Welcome everybody to KWLUG and welcome everybody to, I think it's a Bitcoin something workspace, but the name is not clear what it exactly is. Sorry, blockchain?
Kitchener-Waterloo Innovation Center
Kitchener-Waterloo Innovation Center
is the current name.
It's the current name until it changes to something else. They have a nice little, as you can see, a nice little co-working space. They're letting, I think there's at least like 2 other groups who are meeting in here, and they've given us permission to meet. So this does not have to be a permanent new location yet. We're trying it out. If it works, then you know it's nicely located so far. As you can hear, it's pretty quiet. So it has lots of good points, but if we find anything that we don't like, we are not committed to it. So we will also probably be slightly working out new technical things. As we mentioned, we don't have amplification at the moment. We are going to record. We'll see how that works, and we might be able to, or possibly we'll be able to do amplification in the future. We'll figure things out.
Somebody can provide me a
space
ride.
that works. And if we can transport equipment, that's
yeah. I have everything we need if we can get me a ride. So. Hold on.
Well, we'll see. We'll have to see. We'll organize a car share of moving equipment. All right. So I think so. There's a kitchen in the back that apparently we're allowed to use for like water. I think there was a mention of coffee and tea is okay to use, but I'm guessing it's better to just ignore that. If you want water, it's back there. I know there's bathrooms, but I can't remember where they are. Are they back and to the left?
Yeah, they're back, and to the left there's washrooms. There used to be codes on the door, but I don't think there are codes on the door anymore.
Oh.
Like lock codes for the door.
Let's see what else. Difficulties you had finding this place. We got a good turnout, so apparently it wasn't overwhelmingly difficult. But if there's anything that you think would help, you could mention to like myself or Paul, or drop a message on the mailing list, and we'll make better signage or whatever as we figure this out. So we've got 2 presentations for today. Jim is going to give us a little bit of his experiences living with Linux. That's the wrong meaning. Living with Linux and using it every day.
Are you cheating on us?
I'm trying not to. I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll banish you to, was it Morty's they go to, I think, for the KWLUG users group. So we're going to do that first, and we'll take a quick little break. And then Hattie's going to give us a presentation on his work in Postgres. I guess it's also a teaser for he's helping to co-found a Postgres SQL user group. I think the first meeting is not scheduled yet, if I remember correctly. But
it's scheduled for this
21st of June?
Yeah.
Okay, have you found the location? Are you still looking?
So it's live.io.
That's funny, I was going to suggest that. I didn't get to answer your email. So that worked out. All right, so smile.io is at the corner of King Street and I can never remember. It's the building that has the Guilt restaurant in it, and it's kind of just like down the street from the
Water.
Circle. Pardon?
It's other water or Francis.
Yeah, Water or Gas or
Francis.
yeah, Water or Francis. If you look up smile.io, their address will come up, and it's easy to find, and it's very close to here. I think that's it for. So Makerfest was last weekend. If anybody enjoyed that. GitHub has been sold to Microsoft, which might all maybe it'll be okay. We'll see.
Is that a joke or is it?
No, it's been sold to Microsoft. Well, either it'll be all the way from fine to what have they done. So we shall have to see. I think that's all I have for announcements. Does anybody have anything else that they wanted to announce? Paul, was there anything that you had that you wanted to announce?
Yeah, so the next few months, this is June, and we're here. Next month is July, and we're here. The following month is August, and we're trying out the Google space. Because today I got confirmation that we can book it, but it looks like they don't want to book month to month, at least not yet. They're mostly interested in one-time things, so we can try it out, but at this point it's not looking like a permanent home for us. And then September we'll see. We also need a presentation soon. Is it next month we need a presentation?
I did think I saw it was a Cube OS +1.
Yes. So I think.
July.
What's the status of St. John's?
What's the status of St. John's? So St. John's still exists. It has not burned to the ground. We're allowed to use it for now.
Okay.
If we want to go back, if we find that this is not an appropriate place, we can use it for now. We can use it as long as I have access to the building, or somebody in the group has access to the building, which at this point is just me. So that's the bottleneck there, and that's one of the reasons why we're trying to look for new space.
Oh, fair enough. Right.
So for this space, we have 3 people who have access: Paul, myself, and Colin.
To SJK?
Quieter.
No, to here.
Colin,
Okay.
Colin, yeah. It's quieter, so that's a benefit. To start with, you may appreciate that particularly.
Right, and there's no problems with this space going forwards on month to month?
We don't know for sure yet.
Okay.
It sounds like we are going to be okay month to month. One issue is that we were supposed to get access to a scheduling app or scheduling website so we could actually book ourselves in. Haven't gotten access to that yet. So we're probably here unofficially.
Okay.
But
we've talked to all the
yeah,
people
but we
who
have
are
talked to
involved,
people, so we should be okay.
Yeah.
There's no
Right, this is,
long-term commitment though.
right,
but for
but
the
that's
indefinite-
a glitch. That's likely sorted out within the next month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it's most likely this is a place. Or from
Most
what
likely
we've
we
been
can
told.
use this for at least the short-term future, maybe the medium term.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's when it's useful to like go to Google at least once, try it
Yeah.
out,
Yeah, I
see
get
if
that.
it works, and
And if worst comes to worst, St. John's is available for a month while we sort things out.
exactly. And I mean, also worst comes to worst, there's more and more companies now downtown who will almost certainly host us if it came to that. But you know, it's nice to have the spaces that kind of we can come into, and we're not dependent on one particular person to let us in. So.
And Google has infiltrated our lives enough. It's time we infiltrated them.
We'll get them some political cred. Maybe we'll get a Chrome presentation more likely before actually in their space. So come to present. We're already here. You've probably had dinner because Google probably serves you dinner already. So come on down. Well, we'll see. All right. So I think that's it. Yeah. If you have any questions, come talk to me or Paul, or hit the mailing list, and we will figure out if this is a good space for the long term. And with all that ado, Jim.
Thank you.
Take the floor.
Thank you very much. I'm just asking the question. Okay, good. All right. Me too. Ta-da! There you go. So,
No, I really give a crap.
I'm going to talk about living with Linux every day in a personal sense, for work, for play, and for keeping it healthy. I cannot obviously cover everything. It's a brief overview. Maybe it would be 40 minutes, I don't know. But I'm talking about the things that I myself have used and people I know have used and how it worked for them. Okay, so I'll start up. Work. So I do get asked, well, what if I want to use it for something like a spreadsheet? Can I? Yes, we can. This is a very complex expense tracker. It's been going since about 2009, and it tracks expenses across various categories, and it checks totals do not match, checks the totals match up properly. It also looks at exactly how much money went into the bank for that month versus how much expenses were, to give you a, it's sort of half accrual, half cash flow, but it's a quick analysis of whether you're ahead or not, all right, in your expenses. And it also has a really fancy chart that lets you see where the money's going. And that's all in Linux. Okay? So yes, you can create very complex spreadsheets in Linux. Now, I was going to show it to you. Do you want me to turn it on, or did that give you the idea?
LibreOffice is pretty standard.
Yeah, okay. LibreOffice is LibreOffice. It can do some amazing things, and it keeps getting better and better. But, if you don't want to convert your LibreOffice documents to Excel format, if you want to work in Excel, you can. There are several ways. Has anyone ever used crossover?
Very briefly.
Yeah. How did you find it?
It wouldn't make the particular game I was trying to run work, but that's...
Oh, talk about Office.
Crossover Office, I remember that product.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have purchased it in the past, licensed to it, and run Excel 2010, 2013. It did what I needed. I think there are some very complex things maybe it can handle, but for day-to-day it worked. No problem, as long as you have a license for the Office you're installing. You still have to have a license. And yeah, it's pretty good. It says 3 out of 5 there, but I think that's a little conservative. It runs it pretty well. Pretty well. And if I go to the Excel, is the second from the top. It's got 4 out of 5 stars on the Penguin on Linux at the end there. It's hard to see, but it's so tiny. It's got 4 out of 5. So it does work. If you have any questions, just stop me. Now, there's also Wine. You probably already know Wine is the basis for crossover. The only thing is, this is what I've been told, it's apparently much easier to use crossover than try to set up Wine. I haven't tried myself, but I've heard it's kind of tricky to get it up and running. Anybody else tried it? How was it?
So.
So-so?
There's
Crossover.
lots of GUIs now, so
Is it easier
to
now?
help with Wine, yeah.
Okay, great, great. If you have, there is a free account too, but if you have Office 365 at all, you can work directly in Excel, in your browser, and you can send it off to work or wherever, they'll get an Excel file. So there's at least three different ways to run Office inside Linux. Okay? Any questions on that?
There's also Google Docs.
Oh, I was speaking, some people insist on, I have to have Excel. That's why I focused on that, but Google Docs, absolutely. That's actually when I'm not using LibreOffice, I'm in Google Docs. Absolutely.
The advantage is you can upload LibreOffice and download Excel.
Exactly. What about Word? Yeah. LibreOffice text document. Save it in Word format. And same document in the online version of Word. No problem. It works. No problem at all. All you need is a browser. I had to do a drawing. Our porch was wood. It was built in 1991. It was sagging in the center. We wanted to get a new one built and change the design. So I sat down one morning and learned LibreOffice Draw and drew out a whole schematic for the new porch, which the contractor used and said this is great. Got everything. even the tiny little measurements in between certain things and little arrows and text boxes. It worked, and they got the job done. So some people ask, I need Google Drive. Can I get Google Drive on my Linux? You can. There's several different ways to do it. I'm just going to talk about these two. So if you use, if you are running the GNOME desktop, they have a feature called GNOME Online Accounts. There's a screenshot of it. So you can go in and tell it, you don't have to select everything, I want my documents, my files, whatever, and it will link you to your Google Online. Now, it is a remote folder, okay? And it takes a while for it to load itself up when you turn it on. But once you have it on, you're good to go. If you close it or reboot your machine, you'll have to load it up all over again. But I use it as well on an Ubuntu machine, and it works. It's just slower than having a local folder.
How long does this load take?
I think it depends on your Wi-Fi connection, your computer. It takes about 2 minutes. But what it loads is it loads my entire Google Drive folder. Everything's there, and then I can work on stuff and save it, etc. The other way is with InSync, which I was skeptical of until I actually tried it out. It does put a local folder on your machine, and it gives you very granular control. In Google Drive, if something's not inside a folder, it will sync it automatically to your local machine. InSync will let you choose exactly which files you want to sync. You don't have to sync everything that's not in a folder. It also even has a client for Windows, because it feels it gives you more control over your drive. And the cost for it is $30 one time, and you have unlimited installs across machines. Yeah.
One of the things I've run into when looking at this problem in the past is having multiple having multiple accounts. Does this give you individual folders for different accounts?
I only have one account, so I don't know.
Good.
I just have one Google account, that's all I have. When you install this, it'll say which account you want to use. I don't know if it says add account. It might, but I've never used it, so I just use the one account.
And does it need to be on a normal desktop, or could it be on XFCE or any other?
This is XFCE, and it's when the slideshow's over, it's down in the bottom of XFCE. When it's syncing, it's got the little arrows like this, and then when it's got the check mark when it's done. It's never let me down.
It's a true Linux client,
Yeah,
as opposed to part of GNOME desktop.
Normal desktop.
it's a true, yes, it is a true Linux client. It comes in Ubuntu, Fedora, SUSE, all different flavors too. Great stuff. At $30 one time only. So if I wanted to, I could sync everything, but I just don't need it. Okay, so my folder just looks like that. Those are the things I've synced. Pretty small. I think I'm up to like 25 gigabytes now in Google Drive. But this is all I need for this. So. Yeah. So I set a challenge to myself at Conestoga College. I was teaching auditing and finance. And I said, I'm going to do an entire semester with no Windows 10 laptop. None. Because what would happen is, with Windows 10, I used a laptop. There are these big clunky desktops in the classrooms. But when you go in there, quite often, you have 10 minutes in between classes. Sometimes, I used to like to go to the bathroom, right, on the way. You get in there, there's like 1 minute to class starts. You push this thing on, and it's just a go, ka-choo, 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 right? So I wanted a laptop where I could just close the lid in one class, bomb to another class, open the lid, and keep going. Windows 10, I would set it up, log on to the Wi-Fi in the college, do one class, 2-hour class, close it, fire off to the next one, open it up, and suddenly Windows 10 is saying, what Wi-Fi? What are you talking about? But forget the Wi-Fi. I have to stand there and reboot the thing in front of the class while they're sitting there, you know, distracting each other. So I said, okay, see what happens if I have 2 laptops. I had one Ubuntu, and this one was running the OpenSUSE. And with both of them, never, and I mean this, never dropped the Wi-Fi, ever. Not once. You know, just close it, open it, go, go, go. I did all the presentations on the 2 Linux laptops. I created all the documents, even the exams on the 2 of them. I marked everything on them. And I never had to fall back to Windows. So it worked for me, and that semester is, you know, September, October, November, December. It's a lot of work. At home, I'm using them in the class, at home, during the evening, on the weekends, marking like, you know, 125 exams. Some of them were marked online, you know, on the laptop. No problem. Not once. Not once did it drop the Wi-Fi. Windows 10 would do it 2 or 3 times a week with no warning. So, play. Anybody ever played any? Gosh, you guys are too smooth.
No, I'm willing to admit it.
Yeah.
Trump in Vegas. Space in Vegas.
So OpenSUSE Leap is a conservative distribution. It's based on SUSE Linux Enterprise, and it uses the SUSE Linux Enterprise kernel. They still managed to stuff 15 games onto it. Like Nibbles. Right? Cool stuff. Mahjong. My wife loves Mahjong. So look at the board. It's gorgeous. Beautiful. Right? And Tetravex. And there's 12 more. So you're covered. I think you're covered. But if you want more,
Steam.
Here comes it.
There's lots of cool games that run under Linux on Steam.
thank you.
Well, the other thing to remember is because it runs Java, there's an infinite variety of stuff out there.
Yes, there is. So you're covered for playing too. And you need a break, definitely.
Wine also works in that respect if you want to make games for Windows.
Which does? Sorry?
Wine also works if you're trying to get certain Windows games.
Wine.
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
For
Crossover
some,
also
not others.
lists a lot of games.
For some, not others.
Yeah.
Although most of those are to do with the fact that Windows games stopped working when Windows was upgraded. I was able to play one particular game by installing VirtualBox and Windows 2000 in a VirtualBox
Oh, you're kidding.
in order to get the game working. If I tried to run it on Windows XP in the VirtualBox, it wouldn't work. So,
Is that mostly hardware issues or no?
I honestly don't know.
That is so weird.
Yeah.
So the nice thing I like about Linux too is there are different ways to keep it updated. You're not limited to one method only, okay? I'm sure you've all seen Ubuntu's. Do you want to install it now? Not, we're installing this now whether you want it or not. Do you want to install it now? Remind me later, okay? Remind me later. I'm in the middle of playing Doom 3 or something.
But you're not a gamer.
My grandson is though, oh my. He's 6 and he's like, I get a headache just watching it. So, and Leap has YAST, which stands for Yet Another Software Tool, and it has several different ways to update as well. Here it is, yeah, it's just doing a big update there. If you like the command line, you can do the terminal root, sudo apt update, sudo apt upgrade, for example. Put in your administrator password, it'll go. So that's a terminal running. Now the other interesting thing about this picture, which I hope to do, if you're interested, if Paul's interested, I can do a talk on it sometime. What you're looking at is a Microsoft Surface 3 running Ubuntu as the only operating system. And I did this a couple of weeks ago, and that's the new Ubuntu on-screen keyboard. Everything works. I just fell out of my chair. I put in, apparently 1604 would not even boot on anything. So I stuck in for fun, I stuck in 1804, and it booted. And then I touched the screen and it worked. I took the Microsoft pen, and it recognized it, the Bluetooth in the pen, and then I turned the thing sideways and the screen rotated. I just went, this is impossible. Everything's working. What isn't working though are the speakers, because of the silly cherry trail chip they used in this thing, which may work in the future, and the camera. Otherwise it's fully functional, so I left it on there. I don't think I'm going back to Windows. It's gorgeous. It's an actual functioning Linux tablet. Even the keyboard, the type cover works, the trackpad works, everything works. And the fact that you can rotate it to portrait, and it just rotates, it doesn't complain. I'm blown away, saying that's what it looks like. So if you want, you could do that one sometime. It's up to you.
Microsoft has bought GitHub, we can hope that they're...
Oh, you know what's going to happen? You're going to have starter GitHub, home GitHub, professional GitHub, an ultimate GitHub, an educational version GitHub.
And the Linux community will migrate to something else.
Just watch. Starter GitHub.
For your information, Microsoft is the bigger contributor to the open source
I know
project.
they are. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I promise no more humor. No, I know they are. We used to make jokes in the past about starter, professional. They've really changed. They're a different company than they used to be with Satya Nadella. Big change going on. Big change. Anyway, and Zipper. So in SUSE, if you don't want to keep typing zipper do this, zipper do that, you can just type in zipper shell. And it's hard to see, but on the top there, it's really kind of hard. I typed in zipper shell way up there, and now it's just refreshing, just ref, and then up. And it was going to do an update. This is kind of cool. Ref stands for refresh, and up just stands for update. You can also type refresh or update if you want, but you can just type up and ref.
It can also be set to automatically install security updates.
which is another bit of flexibility.
You don't have to reboot it all.
Well, they are
You
live
won't, you won't
patching
run the
now.
new version until you do, but you can keep
Yeah.
working just fine.
Yes, exactly. I do though, I do, when it says
I've
you
had
should
problems
reboot,
with that.
I do reboot.
Yeah,
And we can
sometimes
reboot
it does.
I find it's safe, I wanna just, it doesn't take long. I reboot, if they ask to reboot, I will do it.
But you have the flexibility of rebooting when it's convenient for you.
Yes, you
rather
do
than
have the
now.
flexibility, yeah. Exactly. Well, Windows does too, it'll ask you, you need to
No.
reboot.
You know, there comes a point in Windows where it's just gonna go down on you whether you want it to or not. The only way I found around that is to tell it that it's a managed connection.
But it's a lot better than it used to be though. When I look back to the days of XP, 10 has come a long way in many ways. It has. And I still find it faster, I do, especially if you pop it in SSD. I put a brand new one in this one, Crucial MX500. That plus the XFCE desktop is pretty fast. And this thing is from 2012. So. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I'm not criticizing Windows. I'm just saying it didn't like this machine for some reason. It came with Windows 8, but 10, it kept dropping the Wi-Fi. But even though that setting where you can say turn off Wi-Fi to save power was not turned on, it would drop it. Especially I'm trying to mark papers and things, about every half hour or every hour, it would just drop the Wi-Fi. And I'd have to restart it to get the Wi-Fi back. I couldn't find a way to get the Wi-Fi back. This was at a home network. It wasn't a flaky network anywhere. It was a strong signal. It just kept dropping it. I didn't know why. Thank you.
The caveat to all of that is if you aren't on the list yet, join the list. Lots of people willing and waiting to help you out.
Yep. And there's the, where is it? There's InSync. I'm trying to hover over where the little InSync thing is. There it is. Down at the bottom there. And if you
Can you go into it and see if you can add an account?
Oh, do I have to? Do I
It says on the
really? I
webpage.
really don't want to mess with it.
No, just whether it even gives you the option will be indicative.
Oh, I'm getting nervous. Preferences. Add Google account. There you
Oh, here you go. Thank you.
go. You're welcome. No sweat. Oh. I'm not nervous.
So between OpenSUSE and Debian,
What's that?
last time Linux friend representation was the speaker was preferring Debian. You prefer OpenSUSE.
I do. I started using Linux in 2006, and I first tried OpenSUSE in 2007. And I don't know, you can't explain why. It's just a feeling about it. Like it reminds me of an old Volkswagen Beetle. It's not very exciting, but it just goes, you know.
Just keep going.
Yeah, and I love the zipper utility. It's just so easy. Just ref up.
Yeah. Well, certainly the fact that you can choose OpenSUSE or Fedora or Ubuntu, and they basically mostly just work nowadays.
They
It's
do.
Not
They do.
You're not making a big sacrifice to choose one or the other if you like.
Not at all.
You're still using a GUI?
Yeah, for browsing.
Yeah, you got to use the GUI to arrange the terminals. All right, thank you very much, Jim.
You are welcome. My pleasure.
That was awesome. All right, so we'll take a quick break. We're going to get Hattie set up, The thing I forgot to mention, the usual, after the meeting, a bunch of people will usually go to Abe Herb, which is now that away.
People make a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
How are we?
So really, you need the GUI for Google Maps.
Yes, also that. If we want to, is anybody going to be going tonight? If you want to show of hands.
Where is it?
Do you remember where the Google building used to be? Or Desire to Learn is, or where we used to go for the tannery?
Yeah,
It's just in the same building. So Victoria and Charles.
151 Charles.
151 Charles. Tell your mapping device.
It'll
all right.
never steer you wrong.
So other than that, we'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll be back with some Postgres.